Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to another Division 2 video. This is my run and gun updated build. And yes, with the updates from all the talents, from all the gear sets, from all the weapons, what we can do in TU20, this is still my favorite run and gun build, although I changed it for a little bit. As you can see, we're beaming through Lincoln. We are even meeting some rogue agents that don't have one shot. We are taking them out, being in their faces, and just straight up putting that amplified damage right in their faces. Yes, you heard it right. This build can go up to 120% amplified damage. Yes, while running and gunning, while still having that survivability. As you can see, that bonus armor on my build is huge. We can even get up to 2 million armor. Yes, you heard it right. Up to 2 million armor with a full red build while beaming through everybody. It is a lot of fun running, gunning, being in the faces of the enemies and just beaming them down. It is a lot of fun, and like I said, with TU20 and all the updates for the weapons, the gear, and the talents, this is such a perfect combination. But without further ado, let's dive right into the build. I think you saw enough, and I will show you some snippets when we have the build breakdown. So let's jump in. And this is the build that you just saw me shredding through Lincoln, and of course that CP4. Starting with my specialization, I'm using the gunner specialization, the minigun specialization. And why? Mostly for that 10% armor on kill, and of course of that extra third reload is 50% faster. And if you want to go for the Banshee pulse, that is also possible if you have that gunner specialization. Then jumping over to my guns. First gun is of course the Lady Death, yes, and it got boosted as well with a few other pieces on this build, and this is why this build is so incredibly good, or better said, still so good, with a little change because most of us ran this with that memento. But talking about that Lady Death, 109.6k in RPM of 900 and a mag of 32. This has an expertise of level 20. It has damage to target out of cover on there, of course, because we can re-roll, or better said, reconfigure our exotics right now. And then of course we have the talent Breathe Free. When moving, gain 4 stacks per second, or 8 stacks if sprinting. Max stacks is equal to your weapon's magazine size, and that's the buff for the Lady Death. It doesn't really help that much out on this build, but I got a few other builds with that Lady Death coming, utilizing a full mag, or a bigger mag better said, getting that extra amplified bullets in. Because every round fires consume the stack, amplifying damage by 75% and kills grant movement speed for 20% for 10 seconds. That's why you can just zoom over the map, run towards your enemies or run away from your enemies if you are a little bit more in trouble. But this is a great gun, and especially this updated talent, it does a lot for you. Then I chose to go for my M1A is my secondary. I chose to go for Boomerang. I have double critical hit chance mods on there and a 5% rounds. And this of course also comes with damage to target out of cover, and is also plus 20% weapon damage of my expertise system. 482.8k damage, 180 RPM and a mag of 15. And why am I choosing for the classic M1A? Because sometimes you need to take out people from a distance, and the Lady Death with this combination of the build isn't really the best on a distance further than 30 meters or 40 or 50 meters. And then I'm whipping out my M1A to take those fools out. Then over to my handgun, and you can choose whatever you like. I went to go for the TDI card. You can go for whatever you think is necessary. For example, for the Mosquito, if you're not running around with another exotic, to make sure that you get up to the proficiency rank. As you can see, my Mosquito is proficiency rank 0, and if you put it on your build, it will get that XP. Not as fast if you're shooting with your pistol, but yes, if you have it active on your build, then it will receive some XP. So let's jump over to the build breakdown, and yes, we're using Hunter's Fury. Why Hunter's Fury? Because of course this buffs up our SMG damage, this gives us some survivability with a 20% armor on kill, in combination with a 10% armor on kill of our gunner, giving us 30% armor on kill, and that's why you can still run around with a full red build while just beaming people down. They nerfed it a little bit. They went from 100% health on kill to 50% health on kill, but nobody's gonna notice that, or at least I am not noticing that. And then of course that 4-piece is for the Apex Predator that amplifies our damage to enemies within 15 meters and disoriented other enemies if they are next to each other when you take somebody out, and that amplifies your damage as well. So it's full amplifying on this build. 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, 12% critical hit damage mod on there. Holster is weapon damage, critical hit damage. Knee pads is weapon damage, critical hit damage. And you already guessed it, gloves are weapon damage, critical hit damage. Everything on here is critical hit damage. But first, make sure that you build towards that 55 to 60% crit chance before you go into your crit damages. It will give you, in the long haul, so much more damage output. Then jumping over to my chest piece, and that's another buffed talent. We're going for Seska. Why Seska? Because this gives us an extra critical hit chance, critical hit damage, weapon damage on there as the attributes, and then of course again for 12% critical hit damage mod. And we went for Intimidate, and Intimidate got buffed. It reads differently how it is right now. While you have bonus armor, gain 1 stack each second up to a max stack of 9, and each stack increases the weapon damage by 4% to enemies within 10 meters. All stacks are lost when you don't have bonus armor, but this is wrong. This is buffed up to 3 stacks per second. So it's not 9 seconds that we have to wait until we get that full 36% weapon damage output. No, we only have to wait 3 seconds if you have that bonus armor. So this talent description is not updated yet. The talent itself is already updated, but the description is not updated yet. So it is 3 stacks per second. So within 3 seconds, you will have that complete 36% damage output, and that's why I think Intimidate made a huge jump to one of the meta talents for the chests, because now within 3 seconds, if you have bonus armor, you will gain that 36% extra weapon damage output. And that was always a little bit of the downfall of Intimidate, that you had to wait up to 9 seconds to get your weapon damage in, and that just took too long. So I think that is a great change, that they went from 1 stack to 3 stacks. Then jumping over to my backpack, and yes, it is the Liquid Engineer, the named Bellstone. And why are we running around with this named Bellstone? Because this comes with perfect Bloodsucker. Killing an enemy adds and refreshes a stack of 12% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and the max stack is 10. So in a perfect world, you can run around with 120% extra armor, getting almost to that max of 2 million armor on a full red build, while everything on our build is amplified. This is so much fun to play around with, and especially this combination with Bloodsucker. I know a lot of people like the Memento, but for the Memento you need to pick up those trophies. You need to pick up those strong arms to get your bonus armor. And with perfect Bloodsucker, or the normal Bloodsucker, whatever you want to go for, because the normal Bloodsucker gives you 10% instead of that 12. So it's still very good, but I went for, of course, the Liquid Engineer. This is a lot better than the memento in my humble opinion, because you only need to take out people to get that bonus armor. So you're not focused on picking up those trophies, and now you're fully focused on your enemies, what helps me out a lot more. And of course, I went for full reds on this Bellstone. It's a little bit harder to get because this is a DZ exclusive and it comes with an armor core. So preferably you want to find it with critical hit damage, critical hit chance on there already, so you can roll that armor core away for weapon damage. I found it with weapon handling and critical hit damage on there, preferably again that critical hit chance, but I'm not complaining about this backpack. So yeah, this is the full overview of the build. You can do so much damage. Getting that extra bonus armor in from our Bloodsucker that activates that newly updated Intimidate, and then if you are in 15 meters, and that's the great thing about Hunter's Fury, because if you are in 15 meters, that little sign of Hunter's Fury will pop up above an enemy's head. So then you know you are in the perfect range, everything will kick in, and you can do your damage while getting amplified, while disorienting people. This is such a great build. I went for the Reviver Hive, of course, to give us a little bit more of an extra life, and I usually play solo with this build. I love to play with my friends, or well, I love to play with the community, but I still love to play solo as well, and that's why I will always run that Revive Hive. I went for 10% Revive Armor Repair, 5% range and 10% health on the mods, and next to that, of course, I went for my favorite skill, the Chem Launcher, giving an extra ammo, giving us extra and share duration, because this is the foam launcher. We got 2 total ammo and you can just foam everybody down. Make sure that you foam them together, take one out, they are disoriented, they will amplify the damage upon the rest of their colleagues and you can take them out. Easy peasy, and of course this is also a survivability issue. If you can just foam somebody on the legs and then take them out so they don't fire at you, or you foam somebody on the legs, you run away, you pop that medkit real quick so you get that little extra bonus armor as well, and then that Intimidate kicks in to beam down those fools, just like you saw in the intro with those rogue agents. Then jumping over to my build stats, I have 57% critical hit chance, 158% critical hit damage, and this is what you want to aim for. I was thinking about losing a critical hit chance mod, but then I'm on 51%, and that 57% will give you a lot more crit shots, and then in the long haul will give you more damage output, and the 158% critical hit damage could be a little bit higher if we found that correct backpack with 6% critical hit chance already on there, so we can lose a critical hit chance on our build itself, so we're gaining that 170% critical hit damage in a perfect world, that is. And then we can jump over to our armor on kill, of course, at 217k, but this is without that Bloodsucker, so we can get even more armor on kill and of course that extra bonus armor, and that's why this full red build feels like a tank while still shredding through enemies. It is a lot of fun to play around with, one of my favorite run and gun builds. Talking about run and gun builds, I will come with a few more because of course that arm regeneration has been buffed up in this new season with TU20 as well. So we got a few other builds for that as well. But that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for sticking until the end. If you're still here, like the video if you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form. And if you want to say something about the build, if you think there is a better connection or there's a better setup, hit me up in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinion. And of course, if you're new here and you want to be updated about the Division 2, the Division universe, and the future Division 3, because it is announced, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, and I will see you in the next one. PurePrime out!